Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for coming to the Charleston premieres. My name is Trey Schulten. I am the interim chair of the Acquisitions and Collection Services Department and the E-Resources and Acquisitions Librarian at the University of Florida. And I'm also the moderator and coordinator for this year's premiere session. We want to give special thanks to Larry Schwartz and his team for providing coaching sessions to all of our presenters. They did a great job and really made sure that we had nice quality presentations for you all. If you don't know, the premieres are 5-minute lightning talks, if you will, for new and innovative products from vendors, and we have a great lineup. We're going to have time for 1 to 2 questions for each presenter immediately after their presentation, so be thinking about questions, and please come up to the mic so everyone can hear you. With that, Shelley Miller from Overleaf is our first presenter.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming, and I hope everyone's having a wonderful conference so far. I'm happy to be here to speak with you this afternoon. I'm the Sales and Academic Outreach Manager for Overleaf, and happy to share with you today how Overleaf is helping end users, publishers, and institutions. For those of you that aren't familiar with Overleaf, it's a collaborative, an online collaborative writing, editing, and publishing tool. And it's similar to Google Docs in that it's cloud-based, but it's based on LaTeX, which makes it more robust for scientific authoring, involving scientific notation, formulas, and equations. Overleaf is currently serving 3 markets, which I will discuss in more detail with you shortly here. End users, aka researchers, publishers and societies, and institutions. So researchers use the cloud-based writing tool to ease the collaborative process of documenting their research. Publishers and societies are providing the Overleaf platform to their authors, which includes customized manuscript templates as well as integrated submission links. And institutions are providing a collaborative centralized writing platform for students, faculty, and staff aimed at increasing productivity and improving open, accessible scholarly communications. Traditionally, collaborative scientific authoring was done via local software installations and sharing large files back and forth, either through email or via Dropbox, etc., and tracking multiple versions of a document. Now, authors are embracing new cloud-based technologies like Overleaf that alleviate many of these cumbersome traditional processes. Overleaf provides a platform that has one version of a document living in one place in the cloud. So writers, editors, reviewers, and publishers can access a document at the appropriate time during its life cycle. Since the document is accessed via a web browser, writers and collaborators can add comments and even make quick edits via a laptop, tablet, or even a smartphone on the go. Overleaf is co-founded, programmed, and developed by mathematical physicists who experienced these traditional frustrations during their own research. They had a desire to create an innovative writing tool that addressed these pain points and made collaborative research easier for everyone. Now I'd like to share with you more about how we're working with publishers and institutions. Publishers and societies now have the opportunity to move their offerings upstream. Publishers provide their authors with a simplified writing and submission process. Customized LaTeX templates in the correct journal or book format are uploaded for easy access by authors. So you're looking at the Overleaf interface right now. So if you were authoring using Overleaf, this is what it would look like. And the author guidelines and instructions can be included directly in the templates. As you can see here, the templates can be opened in Overleaf, and then authors can begin writing immediately, no software installation required. The online collaborative LaTeX editor, with the real-time preview, makes learning LaTeX easier, and you can see how your final paper will look as you type. If your collaborators are not yet familiar with LaTeX, the mature rich text mode that you see here on the left renders headings, formatting, and equations directly in the editor to make it look more familiar to WYSIWYG users. This enables cross-disciplinary collaboration, and it bridges the gap between researchers that prefer working in rich text and researchers that prefer working in LaTeX. Integrations with scholarly authoring services such as Mendeley and Plotly make it easier to manage references and figures as well. And then once an author is finished writing, they simply click a customized button, and the necessary files and metadata are sent to the publishing submission system. Or this could be to an institutional repository for institutions as well. So this carries over into how we're working with institutions, and they can now offer a collaborative authoring platform to support the entire campus community. So simplifying the multifaceted nature of institutional research and scholarly communications is accomplished by removing the need to install LaTeX software on multiple machines, providing a customized portal that features easy sign-up and writing templates, and access to tutorials and training videos, and customized data and analytics dashboard for administrators. Overleaf is a freemium service, which means anyone, anywhere can use it for free. And advanced features and benefits are available through a variety of subscription accounts. As you can see on this slide, Overleaf has experienced incredible growth in these three markets. For the most part, this growth is due to a grassroots movement. So people who use Overleaf tend to really love it and claim that it makes their lives easier, so they tend to tell their friends, advisors, and colleagues about it. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening.
Do we have any questions? Nobody has any questions? Well, I have a question. Besides libraries, what other units on academic campuses are your customers?
That's a great question. Thanks, Trey. We've been working with librarians and libraries, as well as grad school departments, electronic theses and dissertation departments, faculty and staff within, obviously within science departments, also ITS departments that support libraries too. So we really have been working with a variety of different departments within universities.
Sounds like some great opportunities for collaboration. Thank you so much. Getting my notes. Our next presenter is Colleen Hunter from Yewno. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for being here today. I am Colleen Hunter, a channel partner manager with Yewno. As we all know, the volume of data today is enormous, and it makes some of it very undiscoverable. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Even when you have an idea of what you're looking for, it can sometimes be very overwhelming. But when you do not know what you're looking for, it can be nearly impossible. Yewno is different. The discovery environment provides a graph visualization allowing users to immediately understand correlated topics and concepts, and provides context, saving users the time of having to review numerous sources and pages and pages and pages of material. Isaac Newton once said, "What we know is a drop. What we don't know is an ocean." Yewno invites users to explore more deeply across disciplines and find connections you didn't know existed from within the vast ocean of scholarly literature. How does Yewno do it? We mimic how the brain reads and analyzes information. Our technology ingests full text directly from content providers and applies machine learning and computational linguistics to extract concepts, uncover knowledge, and create unbiased inferential correlations. Now, we know that researchers are experts in their field, don't we? However, sometimes their knowledge runs a mile deep and just an inch wide, which leaves much more to be undiscovered. This is Yewno's discovery environment here on the screen. You can explore multiple concepts simultaneously on the graph, and I hope that you can see the orange or the yellow highlighting pointing to the orange circles. It's a little unclear. You will also see that we have a web that connects lines and nodes between them, and so I've just circled that over here. This maps out the correlations between these concepts. And the blue nodes have a one-to-one relationship with a concept, and the orange nodes depict a connection between one or more concept. And then along the right-hand side, you have the ability to review summaries of related documents and also link directly to full text that your library has access to, open access, and other ILL resources. We were thrilled to get this feedback from a medical student in Germany. I love to see the correlation between blood sugar levels and the circadian rhythm and cancer visualized. To see how they influence each other via different pathways is just great. Plus, having the sources linked directly to the full text is phenomenal. This would be a great tool to teach students about the complexity of the body and how everything is interconnected. Additional feedback came from a professor who shared a Yewno graph in advance of a classroom discussion, challenging students to discover something new and present it. So that you know, double-clicking on a node expands it so that you can trace correlations between that concept and the original query or queries. And so this is listed here. By clicking on the line between any two nodes, you can explore that connection to learn about relationships, get some more context, and discover documents that include both of those concepts. Another student commented that the graph allowed her to explore both nutritional and ethical related topics of veganism, and she learned that a supplement of B12 is required since it is only found in animals. She also noticed that the related journals came up when she clicked on certain titles, which she felt was very helpful for her research. Yewno invites users to choose paths of interest and think critically about the concepts on the map and helps them map out their course. Users easily discover new things that are otherwise undiscoverable through traditional keyword and citation ranked results, and they often experience that aha moment much more quickly than they would otherwise. Another student shared the following. I used Yewno for a paper in my world history class and had absolutely no background on the subject that my assignment suggested I research. I easily connected broad concepts to a more specific concept, and I had just enough information on the topics and how they connected to get me started. Yewno has also been integrated directly into existing library service tools to increase access and encourage deeper discovery at a few of our institutions using it. Clicking on Yewno's widget launches users directly into a graph to explore more. To add to that, we're using our technology applying topic models to all of the full text content we've ingested. MIT was eager to see the results it showed on institutional collections and MIT Press books to compare and enhance the probability of discovery. Yewno's algorithms revealed new topics, new subtopics, and concepts to look at the content in a whole new way. Yewno's topic models are being added across all of the content that we've ingested from these providers and more, and Yewno welcomes other publishers and aggregators to join us in developing and delivering new possibilities for knowledge discovery. We also invite universities and institutions to share their own proprietary content, as some of these institutions have done. Thank you so much for attending today, and if there's time, I'd love a couple of questions. I'm also happy to give you some more information or invite you to visit our website to learn more. Thank you.
Any questions? Come on up.
How are you I'm sorry. How are you different than Grokr, which was around 10 years ago?
That's a good question. I actually can't answer that question because I'm not familiar with Grokr. I might actually, my colleague here, Michael Keller from Stanford University Library, might know more, and he's an assistant to Yewno. He's kind of helped found the organization, so.
Grokr never imagined analyzing tens of millions of text sources. It was a graph algorithm. It involved a lot of human curation. This is entirely algorithmic. So far, Yewno has ingested and analyzed about 52 million text sources of all genres. Did you need to summarize that?
Sure. Okay, so Yewno is different from Grokr in that while it had a similar map interface or graph interface, Yewno uses algorithms to review the entire full text of an article, create those correlations and concepts and topic models so that you can dig more deeply to review the information in a different way. One more?
Hello. I work at a publisher, and I can just see my researchers loving this just within what our library of research contains, and I'm just curious if you have thoughts on that or if this can be fit within one library.
That's an excellent question. In fact, we have run the technology and the algorithms on publishers' content and made that content available for them, or that data available for them. I'll give you one example. There's a university press that we're working with who had general topics. One book that we read, the full text from cover to cover, the topic that they had was psychology, and there were about 30 to 50 keywords that were applied based on a taxonomy that was done about 10 years ago. So of course, research has changed, taxonomies have changed, and that was really just from skimming the book. What we found was not only was psychology a topic, but specifically cognitive psychology had a 67% probability of being discovered, and we also were able to identify some primary and secondary subtopics specifically of cognitive psychology. In addition, we found that 28% of the material included neuroscience with some other specific areas of neuroscience. So it really opened up the ability for people to discover things and for the publisher to be able to market it in new ways to new user groups.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We can talk more.
Okay.
So if you think you might have a question, come on up to the microphone during the presentation. We're on a tight schedule. Okay, so next we have Justin Spence from PSI.
Thank you, Trey. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. It's great to see such a large crowd. Let's see. There we go. As Trey mentioned, my name is Justin Spence. I'm with Publisher Solutions International, and today I'd like to talk to you about our IP registry, our pre-populated registry of vetted IP address data serving the publishing industry, both publishers, libraries, and third-party vendors. I think most of you know that as of late there's been a great deal of discussion regarding different methods of authentication that might be reviewed. But nonetheless, IP address authentication currently governs access to virtually all electronic content offered via site license. And in our opinion, it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Like any such tools, it has its flaws, but it also has shown to be a practical and pragmatic means by which to allow access to large amounts of content. Also, like any system, it's only as good as its implementation. So with that in mind, I'd like all of you to consider whether you're publishers, libraries, third-party vendors, agents, and the like, how confident are you in the usage statistic reports that are sent to libraries on a regular basis as they make critical decisions and purchasing decisions? And as an adjunct to that, how many of you that are involved in open access efforts feel confident that you have a good understanding of how that content is utilized, where, and in what capacity? I would respectfully submit that none of you should. And that's a significant issue because it has huge implications for all aspects of the publishing supply and consumption chain. How can libraries continue to make difficult acquisition and determinations of value without accurate usage statistics? How can publishers, funding agencies make important development and editorial decisions in the absence of valuable statistics? Despite the implications for an industry riddled with problematic naming standards and very poor checks and controls with regards to how the assignment of IP address data is assigned to those institutions, we see a significant issue. During our work over the past 4 years working with more than 170 publishers, we found that more than 50% of the IP addresses or IP address data housed on those systems for any given library or institution required significant correction, refinement, or adaptation. And it's not really a surprise. If you think about the scope of interactions necessary for any one library or publisher to clean up the IP address data that's on a given system, it's overwhelming, let alone the idea of keeping it clean moving forward. At the same time, the industry has spent a tremendous amount of time, energy, and resources on valiant efforts to make sure that usage reports are standardized across publishers and across different entities, making sure that formats and definitions are the same, i.e. counter and sushi and the like. But little or nothing has been done to ensure that the core data that drives those reports is correct. No amount of standardization addresses the issue of garbage in, garbage out syndrome that we're all familiar with. To give you a sense of the scope of the problem, this is a real-life example of 12 German organizations pulled from a number of the publishers with whom we work. Acronyms, German names, 2 different cities, university, hospital listings, and they all share the same IP address range. If you think about this, someone who is an expert in German language publishing in Germany would have a difficult time making heads or tails of this. Good luck to a customer service representative in Bangalore or the Philippines or the US or wherever it happens to make heads or tails of this. Our goal over the past 4 long years has been to help create a solution for this, one that serves the industry as a whole and that addresses the immediate needs of today, but also sets us up for the basis for any different approaches to authentication that may come down the road in the long-term future. Again, over the past 4 years, we've worked with more than 170 publishers and libraries all over the world to create a pre-populated registry of vetted IP address data using standardized naming for academic, corporate, and global institutions around the world. Our registry currently consists of more than 60,000 institutions and houses more than 1.5 billion IP addresses. 2 weeks ago, we launched the beta version of our registry, again, 60,000 records, and with domains, URLs, demographics, information, and the like, local languages, aliases, and of course, vetted IP address data. Moving forward, our objective is to utilize the registry to enable publishers and libraries to keep the data clean and manage changes in a streamlined and efficient manner, again, using a registry of pre-populated information with vetted data and IP address data. Think of it as a peer review process. We're asking the industry to look at pre-populated, already established records and comment and edit, as opposed to asking you to create them in a vacuum. Moving forward, or as our next steps, as I should say, we are continuing to undergo extensive testing with publishers and large library systems around the world. Our formal launch date is targeted for January 2017, and I would invite all of you to join us at the ipregistry.org or to contact us at info@ipregistry.org for more questions or information. Thank you for your time.
Hi, this looks very promising. I'm glad you're doing it, and it sounds like you're focusing mostly on getting clean counter stats, which is great. My goal is mostly better user experience for people who are trying to use Easy Proxy or IP for authentication and access. Can your registry also be an Easy Proxy registry or a proxy service registry?
Absolutely. We're actually working very closely with OCLC on that very issue. And in large part, I don't want to suggest that our only effort is to clean up usage statistics. In large part, much of our work is designed to help libraries and publishers manage the process moving forward. If you imagine a library that has been notified of an Easy Proxy change, which happened recently, I think, they may have to notify 100 electronic resource providers. 2,000, 3,000, you name it. Instead of having a position where those libraries have to contact all of the electronic resources to communicate that, we propose serving as a registry, as a clearinghouse. That information comes in, is vetted once, and then is distributed out to the publishers from there to make sure that they have the correct information moving forward.
So
Sorry, 5 minutes is tough.
I have to be tough on them too. So next we have Wendy Queen from Project Muse.
Good afternoon. I'm Wendy Queen, and I'm the director of Project Muse, and I'm proud to be here today to represent Project Muse and Muse Open. Project Muse is a platform for digital humanities and social science content. Muse is a community of publishers, libraries, end users, and content. The community started over 20 years ago with a grant from the NEH and the Mellon Foundation, and we continue to add products, content, and services to meet the needs of our community. Our goal is to ensure that OA monographs are visible, discoverable, and potentially transformative in a highly diversified platform environment. What does an open access monograph want to be when it grows up? And where does it want to live? Will there be enough OA books to populate a hamlet? or a metropolis? We would like to help explore these questions with Muse Open. Muse Open is a 2-year initiative to design a new cost-efficient workflow management system that will allow us to import EPUB files and transform those files to HTML5 and RDFA. This is basically providing an alternative to the PDF version of a monograph and thus the limitations that come with that version. We will develop a delivery method that will serve OA HTML monographs to end users integrated on the Muse platform. Provide a robust user-tested interface featuring personalization services, annotations, and more customized content connections. We'll create a sustainable cost recovery hosting model for OA monographs that includes scholar and publisher-defined value adds. Even though we have just started developing the program in July, we are well underway with some exciting collaborations. But why am I talking about it today? Because our approach is agile, and that approach starts with letting you know what we are doing and opening the door for iterative and continuous feedback and collaboration. We are teaming, an example of this collaboration is we are teaming with Hopkins Press Books Division and the Sheridan Libraries to produce a corpus of work called Black Press in America, which will be a combination of OA books hosted on the Muse platform, print books, and a digital resource created and hosted at the library containing supplements, additional content, and data. The beauty and excitement of this program is the ability to work with authors, a press, and a library at the beginning of a project to talk about what is possible and what makes the best resource hub to take advantage of each component, creating deeper connections and a more complete work. In essence, this is not about repurposing content amongst various platforms, but about innovations at the first step in content creation, which should create new types of interesting containers and take advantage of a linked data environment. Our interest is making content connections and thinking about content in a more complete way. We hope to work with initiatives like Fulcrum and RMAP. The more harmony we have in the community, the better our resources are spent and the potential for better resources for end users. We want the open archive, open access content to have the advantage of being embedded within a larger corpus of content. All of this is possible thanks to a generous grant from the Mellon Foundation, and I should say this is Muse's first grant since that initial grant 20 years ago. So a big step for us and an exciting one. We will embrace comments on our prototypes. We will look for opportunities to collaborate, and we will embrace building the OA future as a community. Please join the community and certainly join the conversation. Thank you.
What questions might we have? Here we go. I knew we had some questions.
So it sounds like there's a fair level of specificity as far as like format and platform, but then just kind of a statement that there would be a sustainable model for cost recovery. And I was just wondering if there's any like further level of detail of what that model might look like.
I can tell you that we had a planning grant before this where we started breaking down the costs around this community, and we thought that we would come out with kind of a one-size-fits-all in this pricing structure, and that's not what we're finding. And what we're finding is we really need to make a tiered pricing structure to make sure that we are allowing the door to be open for interesting collaborations and content kind of born open access and born digital like the Black Press in America. So it's really coming out to be a tiered system. And along with that, we are hosting a lot, or we plan to host a lot of monographs from NEH recipients as well. And so that's a very different cost structure than something like Black Press in America. Thank you.
So next up, we have Michael DeSanto from Springer Nature. Come on up, Michael.
Thank you. I want to thank the Charleston Conference for providing this platform to showcase innovations that are advancing the important research being conducted at our academic libraries. I'm here today on behalf of Springer Nature to introduce Nano, which is the world's first research solution for nanoscience and nanotechnology. So nanoscience is the study and application of extremely small things, and it can be used across all of the other STEM disciplines. For example, biology, chemistry, physics, material science, and engineering. It's really hard to imagine how small nanoscience is. For example, a sheet of newspaper is about 100,000 nanometers thick. Researchers are finding a variety of ways to develop materials at the nanoscale to take advantage of their enhanced properties. Nanotechnology is providing tools to clean up oil spills, to deliver new treatments for cancer, and even making consumer products like disposable baby diapers safer and greener. In the United States alone, government and private industry together invest more than $3 billion per year in nanotechnology research and development. And the global nanotechnology industry is expected to reach $75.8 billion by the year 2020. This extraordinary impact of nanotechnology is also evidenced by significant increases in research and patent filings. However, in order to be effective, all of this information needs to be indexed and curated. For example, going to Google and searching for a specific nanomaterial and its property returns thousands of results. Many of them will be irrelevant to the researcher and, of course, time-consuming to search through. In addition, you don't necessarily know if this information is scholarly. It may not include data that links it to the original source article for further information. Finally, using a search engine doesn't combine all of the existing research on a topic to deliver actionable results for the researcher. And that's why Springer Nature created Nano. Which is a research solution that combines key features of a database and an AI discovery tool supported by intelligent functionality. Nano provides highly indexed and structured information and data related to nanomaterials and devices from high-impact journals and patents. Now, this information and data is manually compiled and curated by nanotechnology experts into over 200,000 profiles that can be precisely searched and are continuously updated weekly with the latest information. It enables researchers to discover relevant research through enhanced search and filter options that deliver precise results based on specific facets like structure, size, composition, properties, and more. This is really the ultimate resource for nanoscience. Researchers can break through the clutter, pinpoint the exact information they need to keep up to date with the latest developments in their specific research area, and apply this information directly to their workflow. I also wanted to point out that Nano has undergone extensive product testing with industry influencers and leading academic institutions across the globe. These findings have revealed that Nano delivers clarity and deep understanding to researchers by providing data in an organized and usable way. Nanotechnology has a vast future ahead, and Springer Nature is excited to be at the forefront of this field with Nano, a research solution that ensures our academic libraries will have all of the necessary nanotechnology information to make the next great scientific discoveries. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
How many languages does this cover?
This is currently only in the English language. Yes.
Are you looking at expansion?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, really including patents, especially from, you know, global patent organizations, and, you know, taking research in other languages and adding it, and, you know, hopefully delivering that in multiple languages as well. You know, we see this as this area as, you know, it's really a growing area, and, you know, across the globe. So in order to, you know, accommodate all the different institutions, you know, would be a great offer and feature to include. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. You can feel free to visit the website if anybody would like a trial. I also have some brochures with me if anybody would like one. Thanks.
Next up, we have Adam Chesler from AIP Publishing. Come on up, Adam.
So let's get right into it. Because 5 minutes isn't a lot of time. Most of you are probably familiar with AIP, but let me just give you the 30,000-foot view. We are a society of societies. Our members aren't individuals, but rather other organizations. And amongst the services we provide are our publishing services. We publish several journals on behalf of our organizations, one of which is the AVS, the American Vacuum Society, and that's going to be important to remember in a few minutes. We have nearly 1 million articles right now, so we're still growing, and pretty much anything that involves applied physics research, whether it's in material science or nanotechnology or biology, it's going to be something that we're trying to put into our content. So getting into some specifics. Surface science spectroscopy. For the other English majors in the room, it's a methodology for which researchers can analyze materials and chemical compositions. So if you think about when you buy a new jacket and the water beads up instead of leaking through it, that's the result of this kind of research, where they figure out how these compounds interact with each other. It's when you put your clothes in the washing machine, why they don't dissolve. It's because the people who developed the soap figured out how to make sure this stuff doesn't go haywire. So what we're looking at is trying to address a problem resulting from all the data that we have about this topic in one of our journals, which happens to be called Surface Science Spectroscopy, published by AVS. And it's a journal of data. It does no narrative, there's no text. For those of you who can make it out from the back of the room, just a bunch of numbers. So it's really kind of hard to use if you don't have a tool that allows you to analyze it more closely. So the problem is, how do you make this stuff useful? Well, you create a visualization tool, and that's what we've done. First, you have to find a way you have to make sure that it's easy to find the content. All right, so there's a dashboard that enables a researcher to be able to type in the name of any compound and find data associated with it. So right now, this is data that's in this particular journal. If it's in there, you can search for it, find it, and store it for what I'll show you in a moment. You can also upload your own data. So you might have this. So this is where it becomes applicable not just for the researcher who's looking for some specific compound for some specific end, but for a student as well. He's been working in the lab and he wants to compare his research and his work on certain compounds to work that's been done by researchers in the past. So he can upload his data, take a look at it, compare it to what someone else has done, and say, why did I see this when he didn't? Or why didn't I see what she did? And so it can be used as a teaching tool, a learning tool, as well as a pure research tool. What happens once you've pulled out all the compounds you want is you plot them. And this is where it becomes pretty nifty. It's because in the past, these researchers would have to take a ruler and a pencil and plot out on an X and Y axis each of these numbers that you saw in that long laundry list of numbers there. This does it for them automatically. You can take a bunch of compounds, you can look at their spectra, you can compare them to one another, you can highlight certain areas, you could roll your mouse over the graph and figure out what are the exact points, and what is that peak, what is that exact number, where do these two intersect? I want to pull this one off, take it off. You want to put this one back in, put it in. I want to pull out a citation because I want to use this in an article that I'm writing. You can do that automatically from the site. You can change the X and Y axis. So it's interactive, and it can be used in a lot of different ways. And the important thing is it's a way of visualizing this data that you can't do when you simply look at a graph. Or, I'm sorry, when you look at a sheet of paper that has tons of numbers on it. Eventually, we want to get to the point where we can bring in more data. We're talking to NIST. We're talking to other organizations. This is why we allow uploading, so if people want to put stuff in there, they can. We've had great feedback so far. We wouldn't be talking to you and showing you this slide if we had terrible feedback. So we're really encouraged about pulling this thing together and getting it out to the marketplace. Next week, AVS is having their annual meeting, so we're going to be out there talking to them and previewing it for their actual members as opposed to their administrative organization, and trying to get more feedback from people. And we'll be launching this next year. There's a lot of questions we have to answer, but over the course of the next several months, we hope to be pulling all of that together. So we're looking forward to hearing from people, and we'd love to do demos and trials and everything else. So we'll keep you posted, and please let us know what you think when you get a chance. Thank you.
What questions do we have? Oh, I see one. Maybe. Maybe not.
She's leaving.
Oh, too bad. So this would not be part of AIP Complete. This would be an add-on product?
That's correct.
Okay.
And just to further that, to pose a question to you, to follow up that question, we're still developing this as a business model. So I would very, very much welcome input and feedback on how we should handle that sort of thing, right down to the level of how to price it. You know, what do we base pricing on? How do we do all that? So I don't just want you to tell me what you think of the product. If you have ideas or thoughts on those sorts of topics, I would welcome hearing about them.
Yeah, here we go.
I went to the website and it has a login. Where can I keep an eye on this tool and get more information for my site?
Right now, the best way to do it is for me to let you know.
Okay, I will.
And I'd be happy to do that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next up we have Callie Covert from McGrawHill Education. Come on up.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone. My name is Callie Covert, and I am the Digital Resources Librarian for McGrawHill Education, and I am here today to introduce DataViz from Access Engineering. DataViz is an interactive, web-based tool designed for teaching material properties. The tools within DataViz make it easier for students to understand the complex relationships between materials, their properties, and engineering design. As of July 2016, DataViz is now a feature of Access Engineering, which is McGrawHill Education's award-winning engineering reference tool. So let's say that I am an engineering professor, and I'm teaching my students about the concepts of material properties using the example of airplane construction. When deciding on the type of materials to use for a project like this, students will have to consider factors such as density, tensile strength, fracture toughness, yield strength, as well as the overall cost of all of these materials. In a typical classroom setting, students would do this using a variety of tools and looking up this information manually from spreadsheets, charts, lookup tables, which can all be very daunting, confusing, and difficult to manage. With DataViz, students can instantly visualize this data and then begin to see the relationships between all of these numbers instead of just thinking of them as values that they look up. In this example, we're looking at a visualization of density across all of the materials in our data set. The curated data set that DataViz launched with this year includes 200 materials and 65 properties. Each dot on the plot represents a different material, and each color represents a different material classification. So students can explore the relationships between material properties within a specific classification as well as across all classifications. Clicking on any of the dots in the plot will bring up additional information about that material. We can see in this first column that one of the metals has a much greater density, and we can see that that metal is gold. We can also click on the material classification at the bottom of the plot to drill down into a specific set of materials. In this case, we're looking at metals. And if I click on that, it will expand the metals, so I can now see a comparison of ferrous and non-ferrous metals. And what this tells me immediately is that all of the ferrous metals have a density of around 8,000, and I can see that the real variability of density within metals is with the non-ferrous metals. And DataViz allows users to compare up to 5 visualizations on a single page. The slider at the bottom allows you to adjust the values manually or enter in your own values if you have a specific design constraint. By adjusting the values, certain materials may go out of range. The plots are all linked together, so if a material goes out of range on one of your plots, it will also go out of range on another one on your other plots. So given its high density and its very high cost of production, I can immediately see that gold is not going to be a good choice for my particular project here. The information from the visualizations can also be viewed in a table format, as well as exported offline for further manipulation or review. Engineering faculty also have access to the full power of Access Engineering's library of comprehensive resources that they can use to supplement projects and activities using DataViz. The related content widget allows faculty to add supplemental readings, journal articles, graphs, any other materials that they'd like to link to for their students to support them with their projects. And this can be both from Access Engineering or from external sources. The resources can be shared with students directly from the Access Engineering dashboard using our share and export features. And we also include a library of sample DataViz projects for faculty and student users. These ready-made projects are assembled by leading engineering faculty, and they can be incorporated into your active learning projects as is, or they can also be customized to meet your exact specifications. To conclude, the DataViz tool on Access Engineering helps engineering students to visualize the relationships between material properties while also gaining a deeper understanding of how these properties intersect and inform engineering design goals and constraints. Combining this with the authoritative resources already available on Access Engineering, students now have access to both core foundational knowledge as well as the tools to bring data to life using dynamic visualizations. And if you have Access Engineering as part of your institution's portfolio, DataViz is now also part of that portfolio as of July of this year. Thank you.
Any questions? I think that's great that it's just part of Access Engineering now.
Yes.
That's really exciting. I see some heads nodding. Yes, that's exciting. So that's great.
Yes, so hopefully if you didn't know that you have it, now you know that you do.
Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, we will move on. Thank you very much, Callie. Next, oh, yep. Okay, next we have Valerie Yaw from JSTOR.
Thank you. My name is Valerie Yaw, and I'm the Senior Marketing Manager for the Books at JSTOR program. And I think most of you are familiar with JSTOR, but for anyone who's not, it is a curated library of academic trusted digital resources at colleges and universities. And I'm excited to tell you about our new open access ebook initiative. And first I'll just give you a quick overview of the Books at JSTOR program. So we added ebooks to the platform in 2013, and today we offer 50,000 titles from 135 presses, and the program will continue to grow substantially. The ebooks are available in an unlimited DRM-free model that offers the same user experience that many researchers are already familiar with from using journals on JSTOR. And librarians tell us that they're seeing greater usage for the titles on JSTOR than they've seen before for academic ebooks. So it seemed natural that we would add open access ebooks to JSTOR. The number of high-quality open access books is growing, and at the most fundamental level, we want to add these books to JSTOR to enhance the research experience for students and faculty. The open access books on JSTOR meet the same academic standards as all other content on JSTOR. We don't aim to be all things to all people, but instead to be a trusted resource of high-quality scholarship. So we've launched the Open Access program with ebooks from 4 well-known and respected publishers: University of California Press, Cornell University Press, the University of Michigan Press, and University College London Press. And these publishers have rigorous standards for selection, peer review, and production. There are 63 titles available now, and we expect to add hundreds more from these and other presses in the coming months. The ebooks are fully open for discovery and use by anyone in the world, regardless of whether they're authenticated at a university. The books are cross-searchable with all other content on JSTOR, and we believe that putting the open access titles into researchers' existing workflows will help increase discovery and usage. In addition, librarians can add these titles to their catalogs and discovery services. Free mark records are available through OCLC, and we also work with the major discovery services, so you can just activate our open access collection. And once you set that up, you'll automatically receive updates for any new open access titles that become available on JSTOR. So when you do a search on JSTOR, you'll see integrated search results that include the open access ebook chapters alongside journal articles and other types of content. And just like journal articles on JSTOR, the open access chapters can be read online or downloaded as a standard PDF. And this just shows the table of contents page for an open access title on JSTOR. The content is labeled as open access, and each book and chapter page also links to the applicable Creative Commons license. And finally, like all ebooks on JSTOR, the open access books will be preserved in Portico. We really want to make the open access ebooks easy for librarians and users by making sure that they're high quality, easy to discover and use, and will be available to researchers in perpetuity. And please visit our website, books.jstor.org, where you can get the title list and start using the open access books yourself, share it with faculty. And there's also information there on setting up the open access books in your catalog and discovery service. So thank you so much. We're really excited about this new initiative and looking forward to sharing what we learn.
Do we have any questions? Okay, while Athena's walking up, so I saw one of your slides said that mark records will be available, but then I thought I heard you say that they are available, so which is it?
They are available now. So if you go to our website, there's pretty detailed instructions from OCLC on how to get the open access mark record collection. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, this question is not necessarily so much just for JSTOR, but there's a lot of open access monograph initiatives going on right now, which is great. Ideally, we would want those to be discoverable in our book jobbers in YBP and other places for a variety of reasons. Is there any hope of getting that sort of inclusion and maybe being able to select them through approval plans and not necessarily say, well, here's the books we bought, and then there's all those free stuff, which we just go over there. And we do catalog them and so forth, but we might want to curate them more selectively.
That's a really good question. Honestly, I'm not sure if I have a good answer for you, but it's definitely something I think that we should explore.
I would say that curating open access collections is becoming more and more of a topic of discussion for librarians, and I think that's an interesting suggestion to have book jobbers incorporate that content into their databases, and I would wonder what the business proposition for them would be to make it worth their while. So. Are there any other questions? Okay. Moving on. Thank you, Valerie. Next, we have James Lingle from Bloomsbury. Thanks, James. Last but not least, I should say. Whoops.
First things first, picture time. Come on. Clock is ticking, I'm aware. All right, bang. One. Come on. Take a picture. All right. I'd like to thank you all for staying and listening, as I am the last presenter. I hope that's down to interest, and not just because you're tired from 3 days of walking around. My name is James Lingle. I'm the Digital Sales Manager for the Americas for Bloomsbury Publishing, and I'm going to ask a lot of you over the next 300 seconds, as I'm planning to weave in and out of my conversation in context to what's on the screen. I've got 25 slides, and I think they're very pretty, so that means I've got to go through one every 12 seconds. My email address is not on the slideshow, and if anybody wants to reach it out afterwards, it's james.lingle@bloomsbury.com. Lingle is like jingle with an L. The Bloomsbury Fashion Central platform is new, and it brings together several products into a cross-searchable platform for the first time. If we go back a few years, an age when it comes to digital products, it starts with a multi-volume reference print set called the Berg Encyclopedia of World Dress and Fashion, which became the core for the launch of the Berg Fashion Library. Take something superb, expand it out, which we did, and it went on to win the Dartmouth Medal, the Oscar of Reference Publishing. As they only give out one a year, we were rather proud. This year we updated the platform to enable us to make it faster, cleaner, provide more content, add more partnerships, and ultimately have Berg become part of a suite of cross-searchable products, which is what you are currently viewing on the screen as I talk. The new platform was actually mentioned this week at the conference as the most improved site update, so we're very pleased about that, and Dartmouth, we're back. You already have my email address. If you want to call me, my telephone number is 646-248-5668. That's New York. I know I have an English accent, but I've been here 20 years. It just won't go away. As expected, it's got all the prerequisite bells and whistles that you want to make it the de facto core resource for any kind of research being conducted, fashion, apparel, textiles, also crosses boundaries into anthropology, theatre, history, etc. The Berg Fashion Library is now I should say, joined by a sister product called the Fashion Photography Archive, which spans the period 1970 to 2000, a period prior to the invention of digital photography. So our ability to bring this to you for the first time in a cross-searchable, curated and meaningful way is pretty cool. We're looking at the launch of some of today's most influential designers, Galliano, McQueen, Valentino, many more. You can review their evolution side by side to see where they were as they evolved as designers. Great picture. It launched last week with measly 150,000 images, because curation takes a while, but we'll have 750,000 photographs upon completion. Searchable by designer, year, colour, theme, fabric, garment. The list of ways to search for content within the Bloomsbury Fashion Central platform is quite staggering. We've got archives from obviously partners that we work with. Curation is done by Valerie Steele, and I'm actually ahead of myself here, so I need to click a little more. I'm going to wait for that gentleman to take a picture. Got it? Good. Okay. Curation, Valerie Steele, who does not just have amazing hair, as you can see from this slide, but she's the director of the museum at the Fashion Institute of New York, so very much keeps us on point. With timelines, lesson plans, student guides, partnerships, commentary, regular updates, context, the list we like to think is comprehensive, but as always, we're ready to listen to your thoughts and feedback. We also, of course, have enabled students and academics to create their own user experience so that they can go in under the auspices of the institutional access and keep the content they want. I've got 1 minute left. Thank you so much. As mentioned earlier, you have my email, phone number. You can look me up on LinkedIn, Facebook, America's Most Wanted, whatever works. I need to thank you, because the development of our platforms is something that we can't do without your help. It's invaluable. You know, your feedback is what makes us better publishers, so that we can bring a good product to you. So, how are we doing on time? 30 seconds, or are we all good? 30 seconds. Okay, so I'll go through another slide. Context. commentary. This is the photographer who had the 750,000 images. Staggering gentleman. It's a great movie. Watching him talk about his relationships with some of the designers is very funny. Learning resources, cross-searchability, lots of pretty pictures, crazy stuff you wouldn't be seen walking down the street in. Many thanks for staying. Enjoy the rest of your conference, and please feel free to reach out. And as I thank questions. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Who owns the images, and is there any type of DRM usage around them that's problematic, I guess, for users?
The answer to that is we own them, and they're available for fair use.
Okay.
If you actually wanted to license them for profitable resources, it would be a conversation.
Okay, great, thanks.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions? Well, as someone who almost finished a costume design degree and did finish a retail degree, this makes my heart flutter. So.
But you wouldn't be seen dead walking down the street in any of it.
Okay, great. That's all of our presenters. So let me get back to my notes here, make sure I don't miss any key points. So we want to thank Larry Schwartz and Pat Sabosic very much again. Come on, guys, stand up. They need a round of applause. Again, they helped us with the coaching for these sessions, and I think their coaching speaks to the quality you saw today in these presentations. Oh yes, we want to remind you to please fill out your conference surveys and return them. It will help us improve the conference every year. And we want to give one last round of applause for all of our presenters. Come on, guys, stand up. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next year.